Hi guys, my name is Teal and welcome to today's video. This video is going to be a fair bit different from anything I've done so far, so I hope you'll bear with me and ultimately enjoy this video. Obviously there are going to be spoilers for the series to date, which as of the time of filming is the first 3 volumes. And while I'm going to be postulating about the future of RWBY and the fate of one character in particular, this is all just theory. Now, Rooster innovative anime RWBY has shown that it isn't going to shy away from tragic plot devices and character deaths. I think we're all shocked by the events of season 3, but what if I told you it's only going to get worse from here? Say, killing off one of the 4 female leads? Now, I know what you're thinking. Bold as they are, would Rooster Teeth really off one of their star characters? Well, if they could kill Pyrrha in volume 3, then I don't think anyone will be safe as we head towards the finale, whenever that might be. So bear with me, because this theory pulls on a lot of speculation and foreshadowing from several different places. But when you put it all together, I think you'll find it pretty convincing. So with that out of the way, let's go. So you have to remember that RWBY is a show. It relies on writing and timing and plot devices just like any other. So to start off with, we're going to be talking about how Yang's death can act as a plot device for the show, namely in relation to her half-sister RWBY. Yang has already been used as part of RWBY's partial loss of innocence with the culmination of Volume 3. Penny died, Pyrrha died, and Yang lost her arm. Up till then, Yang has always been the big sister, mentor type figure in RWBY's life. In season 1 you can see RWBY initially tailing after Yang. She wants to stick with her sister as they enter Beacon, she wants to join up in a team with Yang, all rather than finding her own way or making new friends, before she started to find her footing as the leader of Team RWBY. Losing Yang as that dependable figure in her life is stripping away a part of RWBY that she thought she'd always have, and it leaves her on her own. This opens up a ton of room for RWBY to develop as a character. And as we see at the end of Volume 3, she has to leave her sister behind and head out without her. I think so far this is a great setup for Volume 4, and while Yang has only partially been removed from the picture at this point, I think we still have a long way to go before the end of RWBY. Removing Yang from the picture entirely, especially near the end, could be the final nail in the coffin of RWBY's childlike and naive way of looking at the world. This would truly cement her metamorphosis into a completely different character than the childlike, innocent being we see from the very beginning. Now the next part of this theory looks at Yang's mother Raven and her uncle Crow. Crow and Raven, possibly twins, are obviously very heavily associated with corvids. It's literally in their names, surname included. We've seen that they can turn themselves into ravens, and it's very likely that they represent Hugin and Munin from Norse mythology, which were ravens sent out by Odin who would bring information to him. This is very much like what we see between Crow and Ozpin. Ravens are also very heavily associated with death. Aside from a literal skull, they're probably the most iconic image associated with death. In a lot of media, when you see a corvid nearby, you know that death is sure to follow. Ancient folklore also suggests that people believe that when a person dies, their soul is carried to the land of the dead by a raven. So here's an excerpt from an article about raven symbolism, particularly about Hugin and Munin. Each daybreak they were sent out into the world to observe what was happening and question everybody, even the dead. By sunrise they would come back to whisper to their master what they had seen and learned. Since they embodied Odin's mind and thoughts, they symbolized his ability to see into the future. And here is where our theory gets interesting. Yang has almost died several times in her short life. As a child, she was almost killed by the creatures of Grimm, but as she says, as luck would have it, her uncle showed up just in time and saved them. During her fight with Neo on the train, Yang is incapacitated and about to be killed, and then out of nowhere, Raven appears and saves her. Both of them seem to appear from absolutely nowhere, Raven just coming out of a portal at the exact right moment, already mid-attack to defend her daughter, knocking Neo away immediately. She knew what to do before she was even in the room. There could be possible other explanations for this, but it's as though the Bronwyn siblings have an innate way to sense that Yang is in danger or about to die, and manage to jump in to save them at the final moment. This is much like the way Odin's ravens symbolised his ability to see into the future. It's possible that, being symbols of death, both Crow and Raven can somehow sense when someone is about to die, possibly as part of their semblance. This is just a theory, but if it's true, it adds a lot of credibility to the fact that Yang might not make it to the end. Twice now, Yang has had her life saved by one of the Bronwyns. Then in season 3, Crow tells Yang that she shouldn't expect that sort of kindness from her mother again. It's like they know that it's going to happen. And yes, this could be a reference to any of the myriad dangers Yang might face as a huntress, but think of it this way. Yang is fated to die. She's almost died twice at this point, and both times it was a Bronwyn who saved her. And so when Adam cuts off Yang's arm, we start to go even deeper down this rabbit hole. So first, let's look at Adam's attack. His sword is ridiculously long and far-reaching, and can slice through metal with incredible ease and precision. So when Adam goes to kill Yang, why did he only cut off her arm? I find it incredibly hard to believe that he was being merciful, especially given that moments later he decapitates Blake entirely. And though it turns out to only be a replica left by her semblance, I'm sure he meant to kill Yang and not just dismember her. If anything, the way Yang throws herself towards him, straight on, and the way he swipes in one clear arc across her body, out in front of him, by all accounts, Yang should have been split in half. So why wasn't she? Now, this took a lot of digging, and I have linked to the original video that explores this one singular frame of animation, but here it is. A very vague and tenuous hint perhaps, but one that given Rooster Teeth is likely not an accident. There, following after Yang at the moment of Adam's attack, is what looks like the shape of a raven. We already know that Yang's mother can seemingly open portals, so there's the possibility that this is Raven once again coming to her daughter's rescue. Except this time, while she saves Yang's life, Yang still loses her arm. There is another theory here that Adam, Yang and Raven are all related, and that's the reason for this shape in Adam's attack, but that's for another time and would kind of derail my point here, so let's keep moving. So basically at this point, Yang has now almost died 3 times, as though she's fated to, and each time it's only been because of the very fateful intervention of one of the Bronwyn siblings that she has survived. If the warning that Raven gives Yang is anything to go by, she may just be distancing herself from her daughter because she knows the inevitable, that Yang will die and that no matter how many times you try to prevent it, it's going to happen well before her time. And here we get to the last leg of the will Yang die theory, and that is Mercury Black. So Mercury and Yang are sort of portrayed as parallels, opposite, rivals in the animations during the intros and in the show, and I think it's definitely something worth exploring, especially from a sort of poetic writer's point of view. So we all know that Yang is weak to kick-based attacks. She is paused for a minute during her fight in the yellow trailer, she's knocked out by Nero during the fight on the train, and she has a pretty close match with Mercury during the Vital Festival. It's tough to say who would win in an all-out fight, given that Yang was supposed to win for Cinder's plan to work, but her aura is very low after the match. So Yang doesn't fare the best against kick-based attacks, and as we know, Mercury is all about kicking. And so as we now know, Mercury has prosthetic legs. Now left without an arm, Yang will likely end up in Atlas at some point during Volume 4 and pick herself up a cool new prosthetic. And while I think it would be cool for her to have no prosthetic at all and just have a literal fist of fire whenever she activates her semblance instead, I think it's more likely that she'll be using some sort of weaponized prosthetic. So in this fight of opposites, we'll have prosthetic arms versus prosthetic legs. Mercury and Yang at this point are almost parallels of each other. They mirror each other so well. But here we go with another possible coincidence. Yang is referred to as gold in her trailer and the song Red Like Roses. Mercury is a metal which, when introduced to gold, can dissolve it. I had to look this up, but it's a process called amalgam, as in amalgamation, in which mercury basically absorbs all the gold into itself. The gold can be separated later, which, if we're basing our entire theory on chemistry, gives Yang some hope. But in essence, mercury can melt and envelop gold. Whether this is just Rooster Teeth getting really deep with their characters, and this is actually a hint that Mercury will likely be the one to dispatch Yang, or just a very subtle coincidence, is beyond me. The last bit of evidence I have for Mercury possibly being the one to kill Yang is in their names. He's Mercury Black and she is Yang Xiaolong, or Little Sun Dragon. It's literally light versus darkness, day and night. And let's not forget the line, "Even brilliant lights will cease to burn," which again could reference Yang's death. Her song is even titled I Burn, though possibly not for much longer. So at the end of it all, there's a lot to suggest that Yang might not survive the entirety of RWBY. From using it as a plot device to cement the transformation of other characters, the fact that she's constantly avoiding death with the help of only her mother and uncle. There's a lot going on and it does not seem to be in Yang's favour. Now, I don't know for sure whether Rooster Teeth would really kill off one of the main four, even as part of the show's finale. But given the way that the show is going now, it's not unthinkable. My only real hope in the face of this theory is that in chemistry, there is no known natural substance that can destroy gold. Given that Yang is associated with gold, I hope that this means that despite everything we've covered in this theory, she'll pull through, no matter how broken and beat up she might get. After all, that's what makes her special. Anyway guys, this is all for this RWBY theory, and this is my first video like this, so remember to hit the like button if you enjoyed and leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought, if you have anything to add or anything to counter. Subscribe to my channel should I make more videos like this, and keep watching RWBY.